Hey, what's up, JPEGs? I'm just sitting in my car. I just left the theater. I saw Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. It's basically the Avengers Endgame of Christianity, but instead of, post-Thanos snap, it's post-rapture. It's just as ridiculous as it sounds. There's a lot of finger pointing in it. We're not a cult. Science is a cult. We're not a conspiracy. Vaccines are a conspiracy. Science is a conspiracy, all that kind of jazz. I think the movie actually would have probably benefited a lot from having Thanos in it.
I am inevitable.
The movie spends a lot of time saying that non-Christians are blind and ignorant, not open-minded, but, doesn't really say much about being so open-minded that your brain falls out. The entire movie is just like, we told you so, for a rapture that will literally never happen. But there were a few funny moments I found. For example, one character's wife and son are dead, and I think it's like a priest or something is trying to comfort him, and he just says, he's like, oh, they're okay. They're going to be in heaven for eternity. I laughed out loud at that. And there's also a scene where they're talking about, there's clearly some COVID sub-commentary going on here, but they were talking about how the vanishing, as they call it, where millions of people vanished in this rapture. And one of the characters says something along the lines of like, you're not going to convince me to get a vanishing vaccine, which I thought was hilarious. It was also kind of ridiculous. The main character through the whole movie was completely doubtful of like all the religious explanations for the vanishing, just completely doubtful. And at the end of the movie, there's like a reference to this like treaty that's going to be signed that's going to be like 7 years long, and he realizes it's going to be 7 years, and apparently there's some reference to a treaty being 7 years because 7 is some religious number, and he just instantly is religious and believes that everything that's happening is like some religious thing. It was absolutely absurd after almost 2 hours of just shooting down every religious argument only for a number of years for a treaty to convince him otherwise, which is a completely random number and not a number that seems completely unreasonable. It's like any number between like 1 and 10 would just be like random chance, but he just takes it as this like sign from God. But yeah, for the most part, this movie was absolutely painful to sit through. It's basically just Christian propaganda. It's directed by Kevin Sorbo, who was in those God's Not Dead movies, which are also abysmal. I don't know if this movie is as bad or worse than that. It's pretty much on the same level. So I'm going to give this movie a 1 out of 10. It's fucking awful, and you should not pay to see it like I did. You should wait and pirate it and see if you can get through it, because that is an endurance test. I'll tell you that right now. Oh yeah, and one last thing. I am the Antichrist. Hail Satan, baby. I am the devil.